Good day guys, I hope you're all well. Press up challenge, push up challenge video number 3 already. And let's get straight into it. Let's talk about some solutions and a little bit about how the brain works. And then I'm going to link some great therapists that I highly recommend. So talking about solutions, the 3 therapists I want to talk about today, 2 are in England. So Paul Clare, who I refer people to, ex-paratrooper like me, does brilliant work, fantastic therapist, can't recommend him highly enough. I'll put all his links, had crazy life experience, and really works from the same, very similar model to ourselves, which is why I recommend him, refer him a lot. Matthew Long, Maddie, I'll give the links to his training program, more down the line of hypnosis, ex-RAF regiment like myself, and again I'll link him at the end of this video. And thirdly, Lisa Westgate, who's here in Australia, down in Melbourne, and I work very closely with Lisa, ex-paramedic, just like me as well, and again, we've all come from a background of trauma, and we've all come from a background of post-traumatic stress, lived experience, and we've all beaten it, okay? So that's why I work very closely. Now, Lisa's got a brilliant process she uses, freedom mindset therapy, and again, all the links to that. I was recently on a radio program, local radio show with Lisa, and that's linked as well, and I was so impressed with Lisa's definition of PTSD. What I'm going to do is ask her to describe exactly what PTSD is so that we can really fully understand it. So over to you, Lisa.
PTSD is a normal response to abnormal circumstances. We are pretty much wired as human beings to live really mundane lives. The stress hormones are designed for short bursts, like running from an escaped tiger. They're not designed, we as humans are not designed to be in that state for any length of time. Being in that heightened crisis response state starts taking a physiological toll on the human body. PTSD or PTS is the result of staying in that crisis response state even when that perceived threat has passed.
So what we can grasp there from Lisa is that, as you've heard me say before, this is a physiological condition. Now, let me try and qualify this a little bit. Let's take our brain, right? It's just a lump of plastic, and it's not amazingly perfect as we think it is. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine something for me, that you're cutting a lime, big, green, juicy lime. You're cutting it on a board. The juice is dripping out. You can smell the lime. Now you cut it into your little sections, and you're going to pick that lime up, and you're going to put it in your mouth. You're going to suck that lime, okay? Really imagine that as much as you can, as hard as you can. Imagine sucking on that lime. If you're doing a good enough job, what's going to be happening is you're going to start salivating, okay? And if you haven't, try it again, because you will. You will start salivating. And that's because our endocrine system releases the hormones necessary to start digestive process, okay? So, gentlemen, what happens? What happens when you think about sex, or you dream about sex, all right? So, again, endocrine system releases the hormones for reproduction, okay? So, now, what we can take from that is, if we realize that the brain cannot distinguish between thinking, dreaming, and reality, whenever we do any one of those 3 things, the brain will release the right hormones. And as Lisa was explaining, if you happen to be ruminating, which just means thinking, overthinking, or dreaming about trauma, your body, your brain, is going to release stress hormones, cortisone and adrenaline. And now, over time, when we ruminate and ruminate and ruminate, that starts to really, really play havoc with our nervous system and our health, okay? So we're thinking about this trauma, and we're getting a physiological reaction to that. Now, eventually, it's going to wear us out, and it's going to make us sick. It's going to cause depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress. So, what we need to do is find methods to practice so that we're no longer ruminating and we fully understand where and why this is happening. And then we can bring ourselves to a simple point of good health, good mind, and we can get out of this. So as we're talking about solutions today, I've already mentioned a couple of really good therapists who I highly recommend, Paul and Lisa, and they use similar methods to me, and I use a very holistic approach with a set of tools. And the first 5 really important tools, the acronym is SADME, which is sleep, alcohol, not using it, diet, meditation and exercise. And they're really 5 very, very important tools. And I do go on and use more holistic approach, which hopefully gets away from the medical approach, gets you off the medications, gets you back to your brain chemistry back to normal, firing on all cylinders. And that's when you can go and start talking to the right people. And hello, and of course, one other really good tool I've always recommended is to get a dog. And you know, look, if you can't get a dog, hey, what do you say? If you can't get a dog, volunteer at the RSPCA, borrow one, find someone else's, steal one, take one for a walk. We actually release really positive endorphins when we pet and interact with our pets, with our dogs, just like they release endorphins when they lick your face. And that's just again primeval brain thing again. So it's how the brain works. So if I can explain something, when I think analysing why I didn't go and get help at first was because I thought psychology was a really complex subject. Bear with me. And I thought psychologists were really complex and esoteric people. And it turns out that it isn't, and they're not. And it's actually really quite basic and simple. We're not talking brain surgery and neuroscience, we're just talking very basic psychology. And once we can understand the 3 brains that we've got, how they work, the building blocks of it, how the memory and the amygdala, how that happens, why we don't sleep, why we have flashbacks, why we have nightmares, and we can start to circumnavigate those things. We can start to get good sleep, good diet, good exercise, good meditation. And we can start to fire on all cylinders again and talk to people, and slowly we can just get straight back to where we were, and we can put this away, and it can be done. Obviously there's different levels, and if you are in the shitstorm at the moment, you know, or the hole, whatever you want to call it, or you've got suicidal ideation, you know, you call out for emergency help. You know, you need help straight away. So your battle buddy, don't be afraid to call Lifeline. Couple of years back, you know, if you'd called, I may have been on the end of the phone, and I would have had you laughing very quickly. And a lot of ambulance and paramedics, ex-military, used to work with me at Lifeline, and you know, if you're lucky, you get the right person. Look, if you phone, you don't get the right person, and you don't resonate, put the phone down. Don't worry. Call back in 5, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes the next day, whatever, and wait till you get the right person. There's some good people. It's a good organisation. Trust me on that one. I spent a lot of time volunteering for them, and I got a lot of skills from crisis counselling, and I talked to a lot of people for many hours about their post-traumatic stress. Okay, and we put a few people straight. So that's good. Just reach out. Okay, reach out. Because this can be solved. You can get through this. We all did. All the people I mentioned, we all did. We all got through it. And so, what I'll do now is I'll just leave you with these words, and I want to leave you with the words that I've written, the first words I've written in my book, because I think they'll resonate with you. So they go like this. This is the preface of my book. If you take but one thing from this book, I would like it to be this. When you are at rock bottom and you think you can't go on, when your self-esteem has weaned to the point of distaste for yourself, when you think you've made a mess of your life, when you feel that these things are actually your character and your making, remember this. These are not you. They are merely symptoms of depression and post-traumatic stress. Just as sneezing is a symptom of a common cold. However unpleasant the sneezing, one cannot simply stop it. One has to treat it. And although it takes a little time, it is indeed treatable. Let those words sink in, my friends. Time will heal this. You'll get through this. You don't just have to live with it. You can get rid of it. Okay? We're all evidence of that. So, love to you all. Peace out. Reach out. And get a dog. What do you reckon?